Looking back at 2025, this was probably by far and away the single worst year for the advent of dark horse psychological operations and propaganda. They have been wildly successful, they meaning the media, the military, the alphabet agencies in this country, at making people believe things that aren't true by changing how they feel about that thing. America has pretty much abandoned its values, its core principles of what made it great. Regardless of what the president might say, we are not becoming greater. We are becoming less. And in this video, we're going to kind of do a synopsis going back over some of the stories of this past year, and I'm going to demonstrate just in stark terms what the truth is versus what the feeling about the thing is. And when you see it, you'll wonder, how did we miss this? How did we not see this? The mind. A beautiful servant, a dangerous master. It's been the theme of our Patreon channel, where we've talked about how the specific nuts and bolts of the tools used to make people feel things so that those emotions can be parlayed into the changing of opinions. Meaning, basically, you believe that you're thinking about something when really all you're doing is feeling about it. Over there at the Patreon channel, we got 4 levels. Love to have you over there. We've had a lot of people sign up, a lot of people get involved. Whatever God puts on your heart, the links to those levels are down in the description box. It's totally up to you. You've got 90 days. 90 days, January, February, and March, basically, to go over there, kick the tires, look at the videos, and see if it's for you or not, and see if you can take something away from it. After 90 days, if it's not for you, you can get a full refund. No questions asked. But let's get right to it. Let's not waste any more time. God bless all of you, by the way. Thank you, all of you over there who've signed up. I always want to make sure that gratitude leads off every video. There would be no YouTube channel if there was not a Patreon channel. But let's get right to it. The narrative illusion introduces a mind virus, which is a syntactical contagion that spreads through the communicative vectors and colonizes the cognitive biases of the targeted individual's psychology, thus transforming the mental processes of that target. It literally changes how you think about something when the main goal is achieving a feeling about it. And that's the tricky part. That's why you see a lot of people, when they disagree with something online, they'll go down to the comments section and they will just type paragraph after paragraph of invective and horrible things attacking the person who reported it. Because for them, it's an attack on a feeling. And it's evidence every time you see somebody do that down there, where they call names or they just get completely inappropriate down in the comments section. You're looking at somebody who has been manipulated by psyops to change their thought processes into feeling processes. This is how it's done. And largely now it's being done in the younger ages. And it's affecting them in ways that they may not be able to recover from as they get older. We were lucky enough, speaking as a Gen Xer, to not have been exposed to this kind of stuff when we were 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, when we were still in those formative years. But now, information without emotion is something that cannot be processed by the young, and that's going to have a lot of unfortunate consequences. Let's start off with our first one. There's an idea out there amongst young liberal women that it would be better for them if they were hiking to encounter a wild grizzly bear one-on-one rather than encounter another human being, male. They think even if their grizzly bear tore them apart and ate them, that would be a natural process of things, but what might possibly happen with the man might be something 100 times worse. It's bizarre. It is absolutely bizarre, but it shows why people believe that we live in a matrix. When you live on the internet, you probably are living in a simulation, pardon me, and a matrix. It's unreal that people have this little interaction with wildlife on a daily basis. I'm not saying go out and try to find yourself a grizzly bear, but there's, believe me, plenty of videos out there that show how powerful these animals are, and that you would rather sacrifice your life rather than, let's say that you did encounter a human male that maybe was a couple bricks shy of a load. Ladies, I'm sure that you could probably pull out of your basket of mental manipulation tricks something, some way, somehow, that might get you home safe. That ain't going to work on a bear. But let's not stick to that too much time. It is okay to invade a country and take its resources and steal its resources because we don't like how they politically govern themselves. Speaking of Venezuela, think about that for just a second. A military now that has stopped harming pigs for training. A military now that wants to hand out these special cards to their soldiers, the fattest soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines we've ever had, the fattest, most out-of-shape military that we've ever had, wants to feed these people more and give them a card where they can go to fast food places and get 3 meals worth of food at one sitting. Oh, but in training, don't harm any pigs. See, they had the medical guys that were being trained to try to stitch up wounds. They were shooting pigs and say, okay, go save the pig, so that they could understand what a living, squirming, bleeding thing, would be like to try to stitch up. Well, they're not going to do that anymore because the pig lives matter, but not Venezuelan lives. Just gun them down in the name of oil. See, that's absolute crazy thing. Speaking of crazy things, and this is the part that I have to watch myself getting emotional about, because the group of people online who have professed to be the greatest experts in guns in the world on YouTube, all of the preppers, all of the right-wing end-of-the-world types, have just bought in hook, line, and sinker that some random 22-year-old with no military training whatsoever, who believes that he's a little furry creature when he has intimate relations with his boyfriend, could pick up a rifle and have the personal self-discipline that would be necessary to hit a target 200 yards away in one shot. Now, I love the perspective of this picture because it shows you what every basic trainee goes through when they hit the range. This little green guy right here, I'm circling, this guy's 50 yards away. This guy up here, I'm guessing he might be this. I don't know if they still have a 75. We'll say he's a 75, but these outer mounds here, you're looking at 100, 150. Way out here is 250, and then way, way, way out here at the edge of the tree line, you'll see that's 300 yards away. Somewhere out here in this grassy field would have been the shot that you would have had to have made. But they believe it. Hook, line, and sinker. I saw this cartoon pop up on Facebook and I just had to save it. You got a drone with a speaker talking to an inmate handcuffed. If this gets worse, I will start demonstrating. Be quiet, number 8492. I don't think anybody ever planned for this. Well, what's going to happen when the only thing that you can yell at is a drone that's got a speaker on it? But let's move even farther down, I guess, the road, so to speak, while people ponder that. Hold on. Okay, we're still there. Sorry about that. This was one of my favorites. There were 4 options given. People talking about illegal orders and what Trump can and what Trump can't do. The least objectionable option you see of these four is the one option that actually is the illegal order. So you can order troops into their certain death, for sure, and it's not any violation of the UCMJ, it's not any violation of Geneva Conventions. We do it all the time. You can, in training, order a man to hit a woman in the face. You can. And if they said, hit this woman, and you said, no, I'm not going to hit this female soldier, you could be Article 15, disobeying a direct order. Order everyone to accept an experimental vaccine. How many of you knew that that's still on the table in the military? But the least objectionable, ordering a female soldier to sleep with an enemy person in order to gain information or some tactical advantage, wouldn't result in her death, wouldn't result in any harm, is the one that you would get thrown in jail for giving the order. You can order a man to hit a woman in the face, but you can't order a woman to sleep with a man. Think about that logically for just a second. Fentanyl. The story of fentanyl. The reason we're invading Venezuela. We still allow alcohol to be sold in unreal quantities. Even though when this was first brought to this country and people first started making this and selling it, it killed people all over the place. Bathtub gin, the speakeasies. Alcohol as a poison killed tons and tons of people to the point where it was banned and then brought back. And then people started to understand how to create alcohol and imbibe alcohol in a way that doesn't kill you immediately, but it still kills 7 times as many people as fentanyl ever has. But we do nothing about it. How many of you remember this from early last year? The drones over New Jersey. Anything ever done? Anything ever brought up? Biggest story of this time last year. The drones over New Jersey, nobody cares. And if fentanyl is a WMD, as the president has said, well, then so are your guns. It's just that simple. The man has said it before, and mark my words, it's coming. Over at the Patreon channel, we're going to do a video where we talk about how the Bill of Rights is not the Bill of Rights. For a right to be a right, it has to be inviolable, or it's not a right. If the government can find a way to make an exception to that right, it's no longer a right. I defy anybody to show me any of the Bill of Rights, that the government can't find a way to get around. For my next trick, I will make freedom-loving small government conservatives defend a police state, justified debt, police state meaning ICE, justified debt, cheer for regime change, Venezuela, and turn a blind eye to the technocratic surveillance state. How many of you remember the big, beautiful bill? Largest biometric surveillance build-out in U.S. history. AI risk scores, facial recognition, autonomous towers blanketing highways for border security. And then probably, to my mind, the most extensive PSYOP. They weren't children. Jeffrey Epstein. The more pictures they put out, the more people see, wait, hold on, they weren't children? They weren't children. The girls were all prostitutes. But people see it in the same light as this, don't they? How many of you remember this? 2 random individuals making choices for their lives that America didn't agree with. And so they decided to destroy lives, destroy children. It was just unreal to watch what America decided to do for fun, for its pastime. The guy is still married, though the woman, I believe, is not. But here's where things get kind of, I don't know, a little touchy. We talked about this over at Patreon. That's why I saved it for the end. Talked about this over at Patreon. And it was really kind of a tough subject to debate on. Ladies, if you had a son, would you rather him have a problem with eating too many sweets, too much food, and obesity? Or would you rather him have a problem with maybe looking at pictures of girls in their underwear online more so than he probably should? Which one do you think long term would be worse for his health? You see, we can see the evidence of this. Most people say, well, I'd rather have my son have a problem with food. 20-year-olds today have this testosterone of 70-year-olds in the 1970s. Think about that for just a minute. We live in a country where, in the name of not calling ourselves socialist and not even exploring anything called UBI or Universal Basic Income, we're okay with teachers, women who went to school, graduated high school, graduated college, got a teaching degree, entered the teaching system and spent 38 years in the teaching system, not making enough money to be able to afford groceries to the point where they have to prostitute themselves online. We would rather have that in this country, apparently, than have UBI or anything like socialism. You see, this idea of I would rather have my young person, my son or daughter, have a problem with food than have a problem with sex has led to this. The catastrophic drop in the birth rate. And how there's only really one chance of Caucasian women having children anymore. And that's to miscegenation. I mean, seeking out another race. But it does go back to the poll that I took earlier this year. Is personal financial sovereignty the ultimate form of morality? 67% of my audience said yes. Money above all. Money above all. 67% of Americans. 14% said that they'd give away their sovereignty, go to jail for principles. And about the same amount of people said that they'd trust a person or the government. But 67% said, yep, I want to be personally, financially autonomous and sovereign. That's the most moral thing. And anything I have to do to earn the money to maintain my sovereignty, I will do. I want you guys to think about that. Anything I would have to do to maintain my personal financial sovereignty, I will do. Is now the new standard of America. You see, that exact standard would have led us to still be under a king. I brought this picture back up because this is Prince of England. We would have probably been answering to. He would have probably been on a throne at this point if we had had the attitude in 1776 that Americans have now. Because it would have been much more financially convenient back in 1776 to just acquiesce to the king, pay the taxes. In fact, you ever see the guys walking around, pretending to be heroes, the three percenters? Yeah, the three percenters basically say that 97% of people didn't want to go to war with England, didn't like England probably, didn't like the king, didn't like the concept of the king, but they weren't willing to go kill people over it. PSYOPs 101. It works every time it's tried. It works every time it's tried. So I will leave it there. God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Have a wonderful new year. Lift each other up. Join us on Patreon. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.